All right, picture this. You're sitting in a quiet, community center dining hall. Suddenly, smash! A bowl hits the floor and warm soup splatters all across the clean tiles. A 12-year-old girl named Lily just freezes in absolute terror. Her dad, Caleb, immediately drops down to one knee right into the mess just to keep her from stepping on the broken glass. And then, standing over them is this powerful corporate developer named Grant Holloway. He literally sneers down at Caleb and says, "That is where men like you belong, on the floor." It is just a massive, gripping moment of tension. I mean, a simple spilled bowl of soup literally sparks this incredible battle between heavy-handed corporate coercion and quiet, steadfast dignity. So, welcome to today's Explainer. We are going to be unpacking an absolutely fascinating sequence of events that went down at the Lone Star Community Center in San Antonio. We're going to dive deep into how quiet, authentic character and just undeniable truth completely dismantled a multi-million-dollar corporate takeover right in plain sight of the entire community. You're going to love this.
Section 1. The Incident, the Spilled Soup. Let's set the stage.
Let's really break down the stark contrast here, because we've got two very different men reacting to a highly stressful situation. On one side, you have Grant Holloway. He's a regional director for Westbridge Renewal, which is this aggressive development firm that desperately wants to demolish the center. Grant's strategy? He uses a minor accident by a 12-year-old to publicly humiliate her father. He is rapidly weaponizing fear and clearly just seeking absolute dominance. But then, on the other side, you have Caleb, the dad. Instead of taking the bait, because Grant is practically begging him to act out in anger so he can catch it on camera, Caleb focuses 100% on his daughter. He exercises this immense emotional control to de-escalate the whole thing. He literally opens his clenched fist and chooses restraint.
And while they're down on the floor together, wiping up this mess, Caleb whispers something incredibly profound to Lily. He says, "Being pushed down does not decide where a person belongs. What we do next decides who we are." Now, here is the kicker. Watching all of this unfold from the very back of the room is Evelyn Westbridge. She is the immensely powerful CEO of the development firm. Now, she spent the last 30 years of her life studying powerful people, and she instantly recognizes that Caleb's restraint, it isn't weakness at all. It's absolute control.
Moving on to Section 2, the false narrative versus the truth. You really have to see the sheer volume of gaslighting this community was facing. It's wild. So Grant kicks off his big corporate presentation to Evelyn and the city officials. To justify bulldozing this community center, he has to make it look like this failing, dangerous place, right? So what does he do? He presents totally altered attendance data. He flashes up photos of empty rooms that, it turns out, were actually taken before the sun even came up. He even displays this tightly cropped photo of Caleb holding a metal bar to make him look like a threat. But the reality? Caleb was just holding up a broken gate so some kids could walk by safely. Oh, and Grant also sent out fake closure letters to the center's donors. I mean, he constructed a completely fabricated reality, just specifically designed to force an eviction. So the tension in the room peaks when Caleb finally steps up to challenge that cropped photo. Grant panics and tries to physically stop him by grabbing Caleb's wrist. And when he does, Caleb's sleeve rides up, revealing this very distinct, pale, curved scar. Evelyn Westbridge actually gasps out loud. She stops the entire meeting dead in its tracks and asks a question that changes literally everything. She asks, "Were you at the old Riverbend Bridge?" Because you see, 8 years earlier, Evelyn had been trapped inside a burning car during a horrific storm. A complete stranger smashed her window, cutting his wrist really deeply in the process, pulled her out to safety, and then just vanished into the night before any news crews showed up. Evelyn had spent years trying to find this guy. And suddenly, she realizes that the man her own director is trying to destroy right now, Caleb, is the anonymous hero who saved her life. He disappeared that night not because he wanted a reward, but because he just needed to get to the hospital to be with his dying wife, Hannah, and he never breathed a word of it to anyone. Section 3. Memories defeat false evidence. Now that Caleb's hidden heroism is out in the open, it totally inspires Maria, the community manager, and the rest of the residents to bravely stand up and start exposing all of Grant's fake reports. But honestly, the ultimate takedown doesn't come from the adults. It comes from little Lily. She'd been working on this school project called The Place That Saved Us, where she was quietly tracking everything her dad did for the center. Step 1. Fixing Mr. Walter's wheelchair ramp in the pouring rain. Step 2. Staying up all night repairing broken pipes just so families could have breakfast the next morning. Step 3. Comforting a lonely little boy whose mom was running late. And Step 4. Literally selling his own tools to help fund the food program.
With this simple, hand-drawn school project, a 12-year-old girl systematically dismantled Grant's polished million-dollar corporate lies using the undeniable truth of real memories.
In the final page of Lily's project, it was a drawing of her late mother, Hannah, right next to this incredibly profound quote: "Strength is not making people afraid, strength is making people feel safe." When Evelyn heard that, it just completely shattered her perspective. It totally exposed Grant's aggressive bully tactics for what they really were. Not strength, but a really dangerous, cowardly illusion.
Which brings us to Section 4, the climax, when the lights go out.
Okay, so Grant is getting desperate. He pulls out a forged safety closure document with Caleb's signature on it, trying to prove Caleb is a liar. The room starts to waver, and then, boom, the entire center is plunged into pitch-black darkness. Let's walk through how incredibly fast this goes down. Minute 0, the power fails, and Grant immediately starts yelling that the building is structurally unsafe. Minute 2, Caleb, always prepared, uses a portable battery to fire up the emergency lights. Minute 3, Grant points the finger, accusing Caleb of sabotaging the lights himself to cause a scene. But here comes the brilliant twist at minute 4. Lily speaks up and reveals she'd actually set up a motion-activated wildlife camera right outside the building for a science project.
You honestly can't write a better irony than this. A multi-million-dollar corporate fraud gets completely destroyed by a cheap green plastic camera meant to film garden foxes. They play the footage for the whole room, and it is pretty damning. It clearly shows Grant and his own contractor standing outside the building, deliberately yanking the main safety cable to cause the blackout. And it gets even better. The camera actually caught the contractor pressing a piece of paper against the office window to trace Caleb's signature onto that fake safety closure document. Just an unbelievably satisfying moment where a kid's science project completely catches a corrupt corporate developer red-handed.
Section 5. The Aftermath and Redefining True Value.
So as you can imagine, Evelyn is absolutely appalled. She fires Grant on the spot and immediately rips up the redevelopment agreement. But instead of just packing up and walking away, she actually turns to the community members and asks them what they truly need. And you want to know the most striking number to come out of the aftermath? 0. Absolutely 0 naming rights were taken. Evelyn did help set up an independent restoration fund to fix up the roof and the wiring, but she made sure the building itself remained 100% in the community's hands.
That night fundamentally changed Evelyn's entire business philosophy. She finally realized that true value, it really isn't measured by polished walls or highly profitable land. True value is measured by who actually feels safe enough to walk through the doors. She learned that sometimes the absolute most courageous form of progress is just protecting the very thing that still holds people together.
Flash forward 3 months, the center officially reopens, and Caleb has been made the official safety director. And Lily? She finally hangs up her finished school project on the wall, but she made a few amazing updates to her drawings. She completely erased the lonely little crown she had originally drawn on Evelyn's head and replaced it with a much more useful toolbox. And as for Grant, yeah, he was just drawn completely out of the picture. The center finally belonged to the people who rose up together to protect it.
And that brings this explainer beautifully full circle, right back to the beginning. Think about that spinning silver spoon from the dropped soup tray. It seemed totally useless in the middle of all that chaos, but it was the very first thing Caleb and Lily calmly picked up together. Because true dignity is rarely about making one grand, heroic decision. It's about 100 small, quiet choices you make while people are watching, and another 100 you make when no one is there at all.
Caleb taught his daughter, and literally every single person in that room, a lesson that I think we can all take away. Where you fall matters far less than the kindness you carry when you rise. It really is all about the quiet power of vulnerability and the immense strength it takes to simply hold the door open for others. So I want to leave you with a question to mull over. What choices will you make today? If this resonated with you, I highly encourage you to read the full text of the story again to catch all the incredible details and layers we couldn't even fit in here. Thank you so much for exploring this amazing story with me.